How you guys doing? Happy Sunday. Thanks for tuning in to Hubbard's Marina's live fishing show here live on YouTube, Facebook, and wherever your computer can find us. I appreciate you tuning in. We're going to get started here shortly. If you're not watching this live, please fast forward to where you see the video start. If you are watching this live, give me a few minutes here. We'll get started around 8:30. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Remember, if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too busy. We'll be starting shortly. Again, guys, we'll be starting up here very shortly. Thanks for tuning in, and hope you enjoy the stream tonight. If you're not watching this live, you can go ahead and skip forward to where you see the video start. If you are watching this live, give us a few minutes. We'll get started shortly after 8:30. Happy Sunday night, guys. Thanks for tuning in here to our live fishing conversation Q&A. The Hubbard's Marina Fishing Show, live every Sunday night, 8:30 p.m. We're going to be rolling here shortly. Just give us a few minutes to get started. We're going to talk a little bit about fishing reports. We're going to tell you what's going on with the weather, what's going on with fishing, what we got to look forward to, and everything you want to learn tonight we're going to cover. So keep your questions at the ready, and give me a few minutes here and we'll get rolling shortly. Thanks again for tuning in, guys. If you are watching this live, make sure to share this stream with your friends and click like if you love fishing. If you're not watching this live, you can go ahead and skip forward to where you see the video start. Again, give me a few minutes here and we'll get rolling, guys. Thanks for tuning in and happy Sunday night. Again, guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining. We're going to be starting here very shortly. I appreciate y'all tuning in. We're going to get rolling soon. We're going to talk a little bit about fishing reports, what's been going on, what you have to look forward to, a little bit about the seasons, etc. So stay tuned, guys. We got a really good show tonight. And if you're watching this live, please go ahead and share this stream with your friends. If you're not watching this live, you can go ahead and skip forward to where you see the video start. Thanks again, guys. Happy Sunday night. I hope you all had a great Sunday. I know I had a great Sunday. We're going to be telling you all about it shortly. Thank you guys for tuning in. Go ahead and leave a comment. Let us know where you're watching from. And we're going to be starting up here shortly, guys. So there is no sound for a minute as we get started, but we're going to go ahead and get rolling shortly. So thanks for tuning in, guys. And I appreciate you spending your Sunday night with us. It's going to be a really good show tonight. We got a lot to talk about as far as fishing reports and more. So I hope you are looking forward to a great night, because I know I am. Thanks for tuning in, guys. If you're not watching this live, you can go ahead and scoot forward to where you see the video start. If you are watching this live, get your questions, comments ready, and we're going to get started here very shortly. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in tonight. I hope you guys are ready for a good show. I know I am, and I appreciate everybody spending their Sunday night with us. We got a lot of good stuff to talk about tonight, a lot of good fishing report information, and a lot of stuff to look forward to here. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I hope you're ready to talk some fishing, and I hope you're ready to leave some comments. Make sure you comment, tell us where you're watching from, and comment your questions. First, we're going to cover a fishing report, go over some of the stuff we caught the past couple days, and talk a little bit about some tips and tricks for the fish we're catching right now. And we're going to talk a little bit about the event we have today, and we're going to talk a little bit about our events that are coming up, and then we're going to get into your questions, guys. So you hold your questions for a few minutes here. First comment, tell me where you're watching from, and make sure, please help me out by sharing this show stream with your friends, your favorite fishing club, your fishing group, whatever. Go ahead and share this stream around for us and help spread the word. I'd really appreciate it. And we're going to get started here very soon. So hopefully you guys are looking forward to a good show. So first of all, I wanted to go over what we caught this weekend. Very good 39 hour that came in this morning. I wanted to show you some of the fish that we caught. So the mangrove snapper bite was a little bit slow, but there were some really nice ones caught, and a slow, steady pick. Some nice mangroves, huge one there. Nice yellowtail. We're getting some really big yellowtail right now, which is really cool to see. So we're definitely looking forward to more of those yellowtail as it comes along. Their spawning season is in the summer, and we tend to see a lot of nice yellowtail. Some nice big gags. The gag grouper bite was a little bit slow. Again, gags and mangroves were a little bit slow on this trip because we were going after the jacks. And you'll see here in a minute that paid off. But unfortunately, right now the jacks are out deeper, and those gags have kind of moved in where the mangroves are, anywhere from about 100 to 150 foot of water, while those amberjacks are out deeper. So it was a little bit tough trying to target all those different species as they're kind of spread apart. We got some nice triggerfish. Triggerfish are open till August 17th, so we have a few more days for triggerfish. Beautiful scamp. That's one of my favorite eating fish. I don't know what your favorite eating fish is, but scamp, triggerfish, those are definitely in my top 5. So I don't know, maybe you guys can tell me in your comments what's your favorite eating fish, but definitely scamp and triggerfish are in my top 5 for sure. Here's a photo from our seminar we do before every trip. So when you go out on a 39-hour with us, you get a seminar before you load, you get a seminar before the boat leaves, and then you get a seminar on the ride out. All in the name of making sure you know what to expect, and we try to do our best to make sure we guarantee we do guarantee an excellent client experience with superior guest service, and we do our best to make sure you're informed and you know what's going on. So there's a nice gag grouper. Look at that tuna, big old blackfin tuna trolled up there. Some nice amberjack action, and bam, there's a nice big old jack right there. Some big old live bait with heavy tackle. That's the way to get those big jacks for sure. Some nice amberjack action, bent rods, big jacks, a lot of good eating. On our coast, the amberjacks don't have the worms and don't have the parasites that they see on the East Coast. We're really blessed in Central West Florida to have a really robust fishery, and our amberjack are pretty much parasite-free for the most part, and they make great on the grill, and they're great smoked as well. My favorite thing to do with these big boys is smoke them up and make some fish bread out of them. But a lot of people like them grilled or fried. As long as you bleed them real well and cut the bloodline out, they're a great eating fish. Ivan caught this bad boy on his Daiwa Saltiga. He was really, really happy to get one of those Daiwa Saltigas from us. We got another big order of Daiwa Saltigas and Daiwa Saltis in the shop. And he picked up a new LD50 and got that big old jack on it. Nice gag, scamps, Creole, and then a big old pile of amberjack coming out of the front box. That's just a small amount of the amberjack we caught. Then we got the FWC doing their thing. FWC is always down on the dock, looking at the catch, taking otoliths, and doing sample information. This is something pretty cool here, guys. I don't know if you can see that yet, but I'm going to roll this video for you. This video was filmed on our 39-hour trip, and this is the second one in 1 week that we've caught. So towards the end of the trip there, Will had a flat line out, and look what he caught on the flat line. Turn this down a little bit. So Will caught it on the flat line, and you'll see it jump here, and you'll be able to tell what it is. But real exciting to see these fish. There it is. Nice sailfish on the flat line. So it's pretty cool. You're going to see it jump here in the corner really, really well. Super clear. So really cool to see these billfish. This is, again, the second one in 1 week that we've caught. There it is.
I'm videoing.
I think he's videoing.
I'm videoing. I got him on video. Let me slide it. I'm videoing.
There it is. Great fish for sure. So it was pretty cool to see that big old sailfish come up on that flat line for us. Captain Anthony on the Flying Hub 2 was on an 8-hour private charter and sight casted one of those sailfish. So again, second sailfish in a week here at Hubbard's Marina. Really, really cool to see those nice billfish coming up on our flat lines and on the trollers and such. We do see those from time to time, and for Central West Florida, that's pretty unique, especially on a party boat to see those sailfish come up. So pretty excited about it, and it was a really cool opportunity to see that video. We were pretty blessed to be able to get that. So thanks to John Martin for recording that video. Looks like I got a few. Oh, Jake Gabrielt said, hey, how do I get the pics of the tunas I caught this weekend on the 39-hour trip? Well, Jake, as you can see, we just showed them, and I've got them here on my computer. So you have a few different options for, with us on our 10-hour trips or longer, so 10, 12, 39, 44, and 63-hour trips. You can't bring smartphones. You're welcome to bring a digital camera, but you can't bring smartphones. And we have a lot of opportunities on board the boat. We have John Martin, Bob Harbison. The crew have their phones with the GPS disabled, so we'll snap your photos for you. And whenever you're on one of our 10-hour trips or longer and you have a photo taken of you, you can call me at the office. Again, my name's Dylan Hubbard. You can email me through info@hubbardsmarina.com, Or you can use this cool little cheating device here. Go to our website, hubbardsmarina.com, and go to contact. Under the contact tab, all you have to do is put your name, email, what you're asking about, and the subject or your message to me. For example, Jake, in this case, you would say, hey, I want the pics from the 39-hour trip on August 10th, and I'd get that email. I'd have your email, and I'd be able to send them to you via WeTransfer, so you have full resolution large images. So either call me, email me, or message me through our website or our Facebook page, and I'd be more than happy to send you any photos that were taken of you on our trips. So there's a few different ways to get your photos there, Jake, but we'd love to send you the photos. That was a beautiful photo, as you saw, of that huge tuna that you caught. So good job there, Jake. Robert Henry from West Palm said he got his extra tough sneakers and can't wait for his trip, with us at Hubbard's Marina. Those extra tough sneakers are awesome. I really enjoy extra tough boots, shoes, slip-ons, their sneakers. Everything they make is really cool, and I enjoy them. So I'm glad you got some, Robert. I'm sure you'll enjoy them on the boat. They have a lot of good tread on them, and you won't be slipping around on the boat, that's for sure. Manuel Fuertes Jr. said, sorry I missed the get-together this morning. I had a stomach bug and saw on Channel 8 the video of the event. Sorry you missed it too, Manuel. For those of you who don't know, we had a really cool event today. I'll show you a little bit about it. If you go to facebook.com and type in Hands Along the Water, John's Pass. This was a statewide event, and today we had, as a part of the statewide event, we had our own little episode or epicenter, I guess you could say, inside John's Pass. And as you can see from Doc John's photo here, the people stretched all the way across the bridge, down the stairs, all the way up the seawall, and then all the way up Madeira Beach. So it was really cool. And on the event page, you can scroll down and see the discussion on all the different cool photos and videos from the trip. There was a really cool video that Joshua Vinay from Tampa Bay Fishing Club did live on my personal Facebook page, and we posted it here to the page. It's about a 5-minute drone flyover of the event, so that was really cool. So thank you to everybody who was able to come out today and then join us for that Hands Along the Water John's Pass event. And thank you to anybody who was at a Hands Along the Water event. Maybe you couldn't make it to the one in John's Pass, but you attended one of the dozens of events across the state. It was a really cool day to come out and do a peaceful gathering, all in defense of our fishery, healthy wildlife, and clean water. We've had a lot of haters, I guess you would say, calling us different names and kind of casting some really negative comments our way because we weren't out there cleaning up. Well, there was a beach cleanup after the event. A lot of people stayed and cleaned up the beach. We don't have any dead fish to pick up, so sorry we couldn't do that. And then a lot of people were saying, well, you made it sound like there was red tide in our area. Well, no one said that. So I don't know what everybody's problem is, but pretty sad to see so many negative comments about that Hands Along the Water event when we're all out there trying to show unity and solidarity. And it's pretty funny and pretty ironic that after an event all about unity and solidarity, all these people are trying to attack and say that we did something wrong or did something poorly. So little bit disappointed about that, but hey, if you don't have someone saying something negative, you're not doing it right, I guess. But let's see what other questions we have here. We had some people answer the question about their favorite fish to eat. Hogfish is a pretty good eating fish, but I still say my five favorite fish to eat would probably be scamp grouper, triggerfish, hogfish would definitely be in there, and I'd say barrelfish is one of them for sure, and I would say probably mahi is really good. I love some mahi, but I don't know, that gray snapper, that Key West grunt cooked up fresh at the restaurant right next door. Yeah, the Friendly Fisherman is pretty hard to beat. So I don't know. But thank you guys for, again, tuning in. If you're watching this live, please let us know where you're watching from. You can leave your questions, comments right in the comment box, and we're going to try to answer everybody's questions here live right on the video. So thanks for tuning in on this beautiful Sunday night, and big shout out to everybody who came to the Hands Along the Water event today. Also, don't forget about August 25th at 2 p.m. We have our Bass Pro Shop seminar, and we do these live fishing seminar Q&As every single week. Now, I think next week we're going to have a little bit of a problem because I might be on an airplane. I am going to the National Marine Fisheries meeting once again, so I got to double check my times on that, but I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be able to, yeah, so next week, August 19th, I will not have one of these live fishing seminar and Q&As due to my trip to Texas for the National Marine Fisheries Gulf Council meeting. So I will have another live fishing seminar Q&A, this fishing show you're watching now. So we'll miss August 19th, but we'll do another one August 26th. So August 26th will be the next live fishing show for you guys, and we'll bring all the information back from the National Marine Fisheries Gulf Council meeting. We'll show you some of the notes, we'll talk about some of the highlights from the meeting, and of course we'll cover our fishing reports and show you some photos, of course, as well. So again, unfortunately, next week won't have that live Q&A fishing show for you, but we'll have August 25th. We'll have the Bass Pro Shop seminar at 2 p.m. and we will resume our live Q&A August 26th. So let's hop in here to the questions. Kyle Gentry said, what hook brand model do you recommend for your 4/0, 6/0, and 9/0 setups for the 39-hour trips? I know you recommend J hooks for snapper and circle hooks for everything else, but what brand model specifically am I looking for? Well, there's a bunch of different brands of hooks out there, Kyle. I really enjoy using owner hooks or the offshore angler hooks, but Mustad, Trokar, Gamakatsu, they all make really great hooks. I really enjoy the large Gamakatsu hooks, and for anything less than 8 to 9/0, I typically would use owner hooks. But that's me personally. Some people like certain brands. I like owner hooks for the smaller sizes because of the thin wire and the thin barb size. It makes it really easy to set that hook, Kyle. But the Gamakatsus, they have a really, really strong, thick, super sharp hook for those larger hook sizes, like 10, 12/0 hooks. For their big amberjack and your larger fish, they seem to work very well for me. So that's why I enjoy using those Gamakatsus for the bigger hooks. Mike Bachman said, is there a veteran discount available? Well, Mike, we work with a lot of veterans group like Wounded Warriors. We work with the veterans group out of Tampa. We do a lot of work with the veterans and Black Dagger Military Hunt Club. And we work with a lot of veterans organizations to get those veterans organizations fundraiser trips. We do a lot of special events with them, and we take a lot of them out fishing at a discounted price. But we don't have a set discount for veterans. Here in the state of Florida, with MacDill Air Force Base so close by, nearly everybody's a veteran, and we really appreciate your service to our country, and we wish we could do a veterans discount, but it seems like everybody's a veteran. So we have gone to a active duty military discount. So if you're active duty military, yes, we do a 10% discount for you guys on our non-specialty trips. So specialty trips like the 12, 39, 44, and 63-hour trips are not discounted for anybody, but our 5 and 10-hour trips do have a 10% active duty military discount. to answer your question there, Mike. But all that information is right on our website at hubbardsmarina.com. You can go to info and then frequently asked questions, and that's going to outline everything and anything you want to know. But again, I appreciate your service to our country, and thank you for all you've done for us. Let's see, another question. Joshua Blanton said, nice segment you did on the news today. I appreciate it, Josh. I did interviews today on News Channel 8, Bay News 9, Channel 10, and Fox 13. It was a busy morning for me, to say the least, but it was all worth it. The Hands Along the Water event went very well. We had a great turnout, and I couldn't have done it without my secret weapon, Krista Rosado from Hummingbird Consulting. She does a great job, and we're really blessed to have her on our team. Let's see here. What other questions do we have? How's the red grouper bite and hogfish? Frank Sarcone asked. Well, the red grouper bite's going fairly well in the deeper water. Anywhere past 100, 120 foot of water, we're seeing some pretty nice fat red grouper. My father, I'll show you. My father ran the Flying Hub 1 the other day for a 12-hour trip, and they caught some really, really nice, super fat red grouper out there in the deeper water. They were fishing closer to around 200 to 240 foot of water. Some really, really big fat grouper out there in the deeper water. But inshore, we're getting a lot of that, a lot of the smaller red grouper. But we are seeing some really nice fish out there in the deeper water. And of course, we do dolphin watching as well. So we got some dolphin photos too. But to answer your question, the red grouper bite's going well out deeper. Near shore, the red grouper bite's okay, but it's pretty spotty, man, to be completely honest. The hogfish bite, however, is a little bit better. They're still a little bit spotty, but we are catching some nice hogfish. Hogfish are one of those things that I would recommend a 10-hour all-day for, or I would highly recommend a private charter for. An 8-hour private charter on the hub would be an awesome option for hogfish. It gives you plenty of time to dial in on those fish and hit a few spots, or a 10 hours even better. But the hub's all you need for hogfish, because you don't have to go very far for them. They're not in very deep water for sure. So let's see what other questions we have here, guys. Again, please comment where you're watching from. Tell us if you enjoy these streams, and remember to share this live fishing show with your friends, and remember to comment your questions so we can answer them for you guys. One Choppa Ruthless said, when is the best time to come down and go fishing with you guys? I want the best eating fish. Well, again, from the comments above, you can see everybody has different idea of what the best eating fish is. So it's a little bit hard to say. But I would say the best time to come down fishing, my favorite time to come down fishing, is our transitional periods, spring and fall. Through the summer is a great time because we have red snapper season in the summertime and the weather is super nice. In the winter, the fishing is really good as well. You have to contend with the cold front, so the weather's a little bit hit and miss. But when the weather's nice in the winter, it's super cool and super comfortable out there, and it's gorgeous. And the fishing's typically very good for the gag grouper in the winter time here in Florida. But spring and fall is a great time to go. The weather can be a little bit turbulent, but the fishing is really good because during that transitional time, for example, in the spring, the cold fronts are ending, it's starting to warm up. In the fall, the cold fronts are starting, it's starting to cool down. It gets kind of the fish moving, everything's kind of moving around, the bait gets moving, and the fish get excited. We have a lot of pelagic action in the spring and fall, a lot of big sharks around following those kingfish and mackerel. So I would say my favorite time would be those transitional periods, but the summertime's great for red snapper, great for snapper. The winter, colder times of the month or year is really good for the gag grouper, and when the weather's nice, the hogfish are biting like crazy. So it really depends on what you want to catch, man, and that's going to dictate when the best time to come down is, because these fishing seasons can change. So If you want to say catch red snapper, the only time to come down is during June and early July. But let's say you want to catch gag grouper, they're only open from June 1st through the end of the year. So the fall or early winter is obviously the best time. So it really depends on what you want to catch, my man. Adam Brinley said, what trip is better, the 39-hour or the 12-hour extreme on the Flying Hub 2? Well, Adam, they're two totally different trips, so you really can't compare them. But I will show you on our website. Under the fishing trips, you can go to fishing trip information. Under fishing trips, again, fishing trip information, you can see all our party boat trips with prices. I'm going to zoom in on this for you so it's really clear. So you have the 12-hour extreme here. It's $300. You go 70 to 100 miles out, and this is the important part. You get 7 to 8 hours fishing time. This is a go fast boat. That takes you out there at about 40 miles an hour. We only allow up to 16 guys. It's a really, really, really cool trip because you're on this boat right here, the Flying Hub 2 under private charters. You can see photos of all the boats. It's a really cool trip just because of the boat you're on. This boat is just so special, so unique, so fast. You get to fish a 39-hour area, but you're home by dinner time. So the 12-hour extreme is unique just because it's such a cool boat and you're able to go so far, so fast. However, again, back to fishing trips information, the 39-hour trip, you're going to get 20 hours of fishing time, so more than 2 times the amount of fishing time, and you get that 2-day bag limit. And on the 39-hour trip, you're going to have the galley, so you're going to have hot food, cold drinks, soda water, hot coffee, cold beer. You're going to have a place to sleep, so you can sleep on the way out, sleep on the way back. There's a shower, there's a bathroom, there's a lot more amenities, but it's a slower boat. Some people like the slower boat because it allows trolling time and it's more comfortable. But on the 39-hour, you're on a slow boat to China. You're able to troll. You got all the amenities. You got air-conditioned cabin. On the 12-hour extreme, you're on a go-fast boat, a little bit more uncomfortable because you're going fast. And there's no air-conditioned cabin. The 39-hour and the 12-hour extreme fish very similar areas, except for the 12-hour extreme goes out there and gets it done very quick with no frills. There's a reason we call it an extreme trip. Again, no AC, you're out there, you're pounding out there at a fast rate of speed, and it's a quick trip. So it's kind of uncomparable, apples to oranges, really. But hopefully that answered your question there, Adam. Nicole asks, Texas, what part? I'm going to Corpus Christi, Texas. Here, if you go to, this is how I get all my information and how I plan my trips to all these different meetings by going to golfcouncil.org. This is where that's it. This is where we find out all the information. So on the calendar, I pay a lot of attention to this calendar so I know what's coming up. And this is the meeting I'm attending, the August council meeting. And it's in Corpus Christi, Texas. And it starts Monday morning early. So I'm flying in Sunday night. So that's why we're going to miss next week's live fishing show. So I'm sorry about that, guys, but really, really important. I want to make sure that I'm getting down there for all this information as far as the Gulf of Mexico recommendations and all the reports on the coral stuff that's going on. So definitely interested in all that. Plus, we've got right off the bat the Sustainable Fisheries Committee, which is going to be really important. This is something that's really contentious. They're changing some permits around. And then also the aquaculture bill, which is pretty interesting as well. And then we go right into the Mackerel Committee, and this is where they're going to talk about the cobia stuff. And then we're going to talk about shrimp, spiny lobster, and Tuesday is where it gets really interesting, where we get into the Reef Fish Committee. Going to be talking about hogfish yet again. Hopefully Oh, yeah, right there. Gulf hogfish ACL. So they're going to be looking at red snapper ACLs, which is allowable catch limits, and Gulf hogfish ACLs. So they're going to be changing or looking at changing the catch limits for red snapper and hogfish. I can tell you with certainty the red snapper allowable catch limit's going to go up, and I can tell you with certainty that the hogfish limit's probably going to go down, unfortunately. And then we're going to go back into refish, talk some more about some of the council stuff, and then some different state management for red snapper is going to continue. We have state management now, but the state management's going to become final with the state management amendment. Right now it's through an EFP, which will sunset in 2 years. So they're trying to push state management so that way when the EFP or exempted fishing permits expire, they'll have a real state management plan in place. So it'll be interesting. It'll be a good meeting for sure. And I'm disappointed we're going to have to miss one of these fishing shows together, but it's something important that I got to do, unfortunately. Brian Dunnigan said, make Smokey do the Q&A next week. Now that is funny, Brian. First of all, this whole setup is in my house, so I'm not letting Smokey in my house when I'm not here. Second of all, this would be just a total fiasco if Smokey was in here trying to do this, let me tell you. It's hard for me to do this. I mean, you've seen weeks where it's cut out. You've seen weeks where I forgot to turn on the sound, let alone Smokey over here. He'd have a bottle of vodka off to the side just out of the screen. I love Smokey. Let's see here. What's other questions we have here? Joe Creco said, hey, just wanted to say thanks for all you're doing in regards to raising awareness about what's going on with red tide and Lake Okeechobee outflows. We have a house in Fort Myers and spent some time down there, but can tell you that living in New Jersey, hearing nothing about it here. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you, Joe. I appreciate it, but it is a team effort. Today's event, Hands Along the Water, we probably had around 400 plus people arrive to kind of show their unity and solidarity and defense for, again, clean waters and a healthy wildlife around our area. But that was, again, just showing our support for down south, Lake Okeechobee, the outflows. We're blessed here in Johns Pass to still have beautiful waterways. We have no red tide in Johns Pass. We have red tide knocking on our door to our south, but it is to our south and it has not affected our areas yet. And if it does, even if it does set into Johns Pass, it still will not affect offshore fishing, but unfortunately it will affect a large portion of our business as far as dolphin watching, shelling, snorkeling, water taxis, all that stuff would be affected. So we're really hoping, praying that that red tide doesn't come up our way, but we really feel for everybody in South Florida who's been so severely impacted by this event. Now, red tide is a naturally occurring thing, guys, but this whole blue-green algae Lake Okeechobee problem is not natural. And in my opinion, that unnatural occurrence in fresh water being flowed into the Gulf of Mexico is what, in my opinion, again, is fueling that one of the worst red tides we've seen. This red tide is killing a lot of different marine mammals, whale sharks, dolphins, manatees, sea turtles. One of the worst red tide. I know for a fact it's the worst red tide I've ever seen. But there's no scientific correlation between what's going on in Lake Okeechobee and this red tide, but there's no scientific correlation that they're not linked. And in my opinion, it's too much of a coincidence that we have this huge long-term running red tide at the same time of this blue-green algae. And the blue-green algae only survives in fresh water. So what we're experiencing, what's killing all these fish, is not blue-green algae. Blue-green algae only survives in fresh water, but it's being flowed out into the Gulf of Mexico where it dies and it's all this nutrient-rich phosphorus, nitrogen stuff being flowed into the Gulf of Mexico where there's naturally occurring red tide. And now this naturally occurring red tide is huge, and it's so dense, super concentrated, and it's stretched out and it's lasting forever. So in my mind, it just makes sense that they're correlating, but scientists haven't proved it yet. But thanks, Joe. I appreciate it. We're going to keep doing our part and keep spreading the awareness and hopefully trying to promote unity. This isn't a political event. No political party caused this. No governor caused this. We all caused this together. Look at Orlando. I mean, it's just exploded in growth, concrete everywhere. Look at your yard out front. That is not natural grass. That St. Augustine grass that you have in your front yard that you fertilize is not natural to the state of Florida, and it requires fertilization to be healthy and green. And we all have green lawns, and we all work hard at that, and we have all contributed to our water quality issues. So it's not Big Sugar's fault. Granted, they might have a big part to play, but the golf courses in the state of Florida, your homes, your lawn, and your front yard, we all played a part in this issue, and we all need to work together. This is a complex problem with a complex solution. It's no one person's fault, guys. So hopefully we'll keep promoting unity, and hopefully we can all get along and try to agree on some changes. Jacob Rapp said, best time to catch snook off the beaches by John's Pass. Well, Jacob, you're missing it. Right now is the best time. We have snook typically spawn starting at the end of May. The snook start leaving the pass to get out on the beaches. June, July, in the middle of the summer when the water's hot, those snook are along the beaches breeding, and then they start slowly swimming back into the back bays for the cooler winter months. So right now is the best time to catch the snook inside John's Pass and along the beaches for sure. Catching a lot of snook right now along the docks on dead bait, large dead bait weighted to the bottom. A lot of those big girl snook, those 36, 38, 40-inch snook, they don't really want to try to chase a bait. It's so hot. The water is so hot. They're super lethargic. They're just sitting down there along the bottom, and you drop a big old dead, smelly piece of bait down to the bottom. They're just going to slurp it up and run. Danny Gwynn said all future 39-hour trips going to be focused on amberjacks or gags and mangroves. Does it just depend on the captain? No, Donnie, it kind of depends on the customer. This trip, for example, we had a lot of customers that wanted to get amberjacks, so we went running for amberjacks. And we got a lot of big amberjacks during the day, and at night we focused on the gags and mangroves. Unfortunately, the gag and mangrove bite was a little slow at night, and the jacks paid off during the day. So in this recent trip, we caught more amberjacks than we did gags and mangroves. On some trips, the gags and mangroves bite really, really well through the night, and then we're able to go target jacks during the day, and if they bite well, then we look like heroes. So, Donnie, we try to target a little bit of everything that's open. As long as amberjack is open, we're going to try to get a few of them, but unfortunately, sometimes they cooperate, sometimes they don't. And sometimes we want to fish one area and we can't because we're trying to balance going to get the amberjack too. But yes, during amberjack season, we will try to at least make one or two stops focused on amberjack, and they will be open until the end of October. But we're always focused on the gags and mangroves. The mangroves is kind of the bread and butter of the 39-hour trip, and that's what we try to fill the boxes with, and then get a side of those bigger fish like the gags, red grouper, amberjack, stuff like that. Joe Gore, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, Joe, but he asked a great question. He said, I'm doing a 39-hour October 23rd and November 23rd. Why are there so few long-range trips in September, October? Well, it's the same problem we have every year, and every year we get the same questions. So I'm glad you brought it up, Joe. It gives us a chance to talk about it. Every year in September after Labor Day, we start what's called dry dock. Our large boats at Hubbard's Marina, the Hub, the Flying Hub 2, the Florida Fisherman, the Friendly Fisherman, our dolphin boat, our water taxis, our ferry boats, They're all U.S. Coast Guard custom built vessels. They're U.S. Coast Guard approved, so we literally built them to Coast Guard specs with the Coast Guard watching over our shoulders. And every 2 years, we have to pull those vessels out of the water for an out of the water inspection. And then the year that we're not doing the out of the water inspection, the Coast Guard does a COI, or does a in the water inspection, a walk around. And every 5 years they have to renew our COI, or certificate of inspection. So these are really stringent inspections, and the out of the water inspection means we have to pull the boat out of the water. So during that time is when we do a lot of maintenance to the boat, like repaint it, redo some of the stuff. The last dry dock on the Florida Fisherman, we spent over $750,000 on that boat, really doing a lot of really cool work to it. So this dry dock won't be as dramatic, so it's only going to be about 6 weeks. So dry dock's going to start September 4th, and it's going to end around October 16th, a total of 6 weeks. And during the dry dock, we're going to repaint the Florida. We're going to do a lot of different work to it, and hopefully the Coast Guard won't hit us with anything out of the blue. We're not counting on anything. The boat's really, really tight right now. So hopefully it'll be a quick 6 weeks. We'll be done, ready to go. And we'll have a bunch of 39 hours towards the second half of October, and then into November and December as well. So thanks for the question, Joe. It's simply dry dock, and it's a Coast Guard requirement, and it's all in the name of keeping you safe. So that's why we don't have any long range trips in September and the beginning of October, but we do have tons of 12-hour extremes, 12-hour night mangrove snapper trips, and we always have our 5-hour half day as well. So let's see what other questions we have here. Travis Pickens said, what are you using for bait on the hogfish? Typically, we use live shrimp or live fiddler crabs for the hogfish. I would recommend about 30-pound fluorocarbon and about a 4/0 hook. And I like one of three approaches: a naked ball jig, just a jig head, or a super light knocker rig. And the weight on any three of those approaches is as light as you can make it. The more natural that bait appears, the more likely you're going to get hit by the hogfish. So 30-pound fluorocarbon, 4/0 hook, and either a knocker rig, jig head, or a naked ball jig with a live shrimp or a fiddler crab. And the trick to the hogfish is hitting them towards the second half of the trip, or second half of the spot. Once the more aggressive fish, like the gray snapper, also known as a white grunt or Key West grunt, are out of the way, those super aggressive fish, that's when we get an opportunity to show our bait to some of those super good eating, but also super leader shy and smart hogfish. We have on our website, if you go to hubbardsmarina.com, once you're at hubbardsmarina.com, you can go to fishing trips, and under fishing trips, you can go to fishing tips. And right on our fishing tips page, we have a ton of different information here, super helpful, and then a bunch of videos. And one of the videos we have here is our how to catch hogfish video with Salt Strong. And that's a great option there for how to learn all my tips and tricks. We talked for 30, 45 minutes or something about all our different ways and approaches to catching hogfish and being more successful at catching a hogfish. So definitely check that out if you're interested there. And hopefully that'll help you catch some hogfish there, Travis. So I appreciate your question. Let's see what other questions we have here. Paul Volkert said, how do you do the live bait on your 39-hour trips? How do you keep count on how many are used? Well, Paul, it's really simple. On our 39, 44, and 63-hour trips, we use the Florida Fisherman. And the Florida Fisherman, too, has individual live wells. So your fishing spot is your live well number. So if you're live well 10, your fishing, if you're fishing spot 10, you're live well 10. So it makes it super easy for you to keep your live bait right next to you. You can hold up to 4 dozen baits in your individual live well. So how it works is when you arrive, you would pull your truck up to our waiting area. You unload your gear. Once you've unloaded your gear, you'd go park your vehicle in the garage. You'd pay for parking with the garage. Then you'd walk over, check in, sign the manifest, pay for your trip, and then head back out to the waiting area with your gear. About an hour to an hour and 30 minutes before departure, we'll do a quick pre-boarding seminar, tell you a little bit more about the boarding process and what you're getting yourselves into. And then we'd start loading gear and loading live bait. To get live bait, you just bring up your white receipt that you got when you checked in, show it to the live bait guy. He gives you a bucket full of bait. You take that immediately to the boat and pour it in your live well, which is again the same as your spot. Then bring the bucket back to the live bait guy and head back out to the waiting area, grab your gear, put it on the boat. Once you've loaded gear, once you've loaded live bait, we do a quick safety seminar, tell you a little bit more about the trip, and then we get underway. So pretty simple about that. One good thing that we have at Hubbard's Marina is we have an extensive YouTube channel, and on our YouTube channel, you can just go to youtube.com/The Hubbard's Marina. So again, here it is, The Hubbard's Marina, and under videos we have a how to pack for a 39-hour trip. So we have what to pack for a long range trip, and then we have how to pack for a 39-hour trip, which is somewhere in here. It might be even easier to just Google it, how to pack for a 39-hour trip. See, it pops right up for you. And I have a nice 25-minute video on how to pack, what to bring, what to expect, and more about that 39-hour trip, which I would strongly recommend watching if you're thinking about doing a trip with us, Paul Volkert, especially a 39-hour trip. And Robert Henry, we know you like jigs, man. He's commented jigging about 1,000 times. And Robert, when I have jigging questions, I would come to you. So trust me, maybe we'll have to have you on the show one of these weeks to talk a little bit about jigging, because that's definitely a question we get a lot. And I know you catch a lot of fish on those slow pitch jigs and all the different jigs that you use. I love vertical jigging, especially for some of those scamp groupers. So the amberjack, they love vertical jigs. A lot of the pelagic species, tuna, wahoo, we've seen all those on vertical jigs. And then red grouper, gag grouper on the slower pitch jigs along the bottom. I like naked ball jigs tipped with a long strip of squid for the red grouper. There's a bunch of different jigs and jig assortments and jig types for grouper. I remember the last 44-hour trip I ran with Captain Garrett. My cousin, he caught like 4 or 5 scamp grouper in a row on this banana shaped vertical jig with a treble hook on it. He was bouncing it right above the water, or right above the bottom, and just was tearing up the scamp on it. So definitely a lot of big grouper likes vertical jigs and slow pitch jigs, and there's a lot of options for you. Brian Dunnigan said, any 39-hour trips this fall with the super light load? I'm trying to find a time to come down from Nashville to get some mangrove snapper and maybe an amberjack. We don't have many 39-hour trips this fall with the light load on it. We're pretty blessed to be fairly busy right now, but I know December we have a lighter load. Let's see here. We can pull it up real quick. Specialty fishing trips. Let's go to October. We're going to filter it for 39-hour trips. So to answer your question, October, I guess we got to put in the other trips. So for October, we've got a 39-hour trip on the 19th that's sold out. On the 23rd, we have a 39-hour trip that's about halfway full, a little bit more than halfway full. We've got a 44-hour trip with plenty of room. We've got a 63-hour trip that's almost sold out November 1st. And then November, we have a 39-hour trip every weekend. Well, there's some light loads there, Brian. So November 16th, November 23rd, November 30th, all fairly light loads. And then in December, we have light loads as well. So end of November, starting November 16th through the end of the year, are all lighter loads there to answer your question. So I guess I was wrong. We do have some lighter loads. So Thanks for the question. Straightened me out there. So I appreciate it. Let's see what other questions we have here, guys. Let's go to YouTube. We see some questions on YouTube here. Robert Eaton said, I live in Plant City, going on a 10-hour trip using an Okuma 4050 class rod with a Okuma ABF spinning reel lined with 25-pound mono with 50-pound leader. Will this be sufficient? Well, I'm not exactly sure what kind of or what size spinning reel you have there, Robert. But what I do on our 10-hour trips, again, on our website, I wrote this website. So when people send me emails saying, hey, what tackle do you recommend for this trip? It kind of makes me laugh a little bit, because when you go to fishing trips, and let's say in this example, Robert, you go to 10-hour trip, this tackle suggestion page, or this tackle suggestion paragraph, I personally wrote myself, and apparently I didn't do that good of a job, because I still get some not you, Brian, I'm not, or Robert Eaton, I'm not saying you, but unfortunately I still get some questions about some of the more specific stuff. So I'm actually in the process right now, this off season, of totally redoing all of our fishing pages. I'm going to add a lot more information, so it's going to be pretty cool. But these tackle suggestions on our website, I personally wrote, Robert. So right here you can see where I suggest bringing a spinning rod and reel, but I would be using about a 4,000 to 5,000 series spinning reel with about 20 to 30 or 20 pound main line, and then 30 to 40 pound leader with 3 to 4 hooks. So the idea, Robert Eaton, is for your spinning rod, I would probably, you have 20 pound or 25 pound mono for your main line. I would probably be using 30 or 40 pound leader and about a 4-aught hook, and then I would bring along a 2-speed Daiwa Saltiga or a 6-aught reel to try to target some of those bigger fish. But it depends on when you're going, Robert. Definitely, if you're going in the later fall months ending in ER, like November, December, I would probably bring that spinning rod for the snapper species, and then bring a bigger, like 6-aught reel for the gags. Or again, my Daiwa 2-speed Saltiga is one of my favorite setups for some of those bigger fish, and also I can catch a smaller fish. But if you're trying to go after hogfish, definitely want to be using a smaller setup than a 40-50 pound class spinning rod. For hogfish, typically around a 4,000 series spinning reel, 20 pound main line, and about a 30 pound fluorocarbon leader, 4-aught hook with a super light weight setup, either a knocker rig, jig head, or naked ball jig, again with live shrimp or fiddler crab. And then that setup that you would use for hogfish, Robert Eaton, you would definitely not use that hogfish setup for the bigger fish. It doesn't matter what kind of 4,000 or 5,000 series spinning reel you have, that is simply not even close to big enough for one of those bigger groupers. So if you want to try to catch a gag grouper and also a hogfish, you got to bring two different fishing poles, because your spinning rod setup is never going to be good enough to be used for a gag grouper, unfortunately. But again, that's my personal opinion. Let's see what other questions we have here from YouTube. No Clue Fishing Torres said, how is the next deep drop looking? Well, you saw when I was looking at the trips, those deep drop, the next one is November 1st, and it's got 12 people on it, so it's got a nice big heavy load already. We allow up to 16, so it's 4 spots away from being sold out. So November 1st, 63-hour deep drop is definitely a go. And we always have the deep drop options on our Go Fast boat. You can do a 15-hour deep drop on the Flying Hub 1, but it is very weather dependent, unfortunately. Michael Murray says, does the 12-hour night trip for mangrove snapper slow down when it gets cooler? or is it good for mangrove snapper year round? Well, unfortunately, Michael, you're right. As it cools down, the mangrove snapper bite kind of slows down a little bit, but you do have a better chance for gags. But really, the best trip if you're trying to get that night fishing time is that 39-hour or that 44-hour trip. The 44-hour trip, you get nearly a full night of fishing. The 39-hour, you'll get about half the night of fishing. So if you want a lot of night fishing time for big snapper, definitely the 44 hours, hands down, the way to go. The 39-hour gives you a lot of night fishing time, but not as much as the 44-hour. And the 12-hour night mangrove snapper gives you a taste of night fishing time. You get about 7 to 8 hours night fishing time on the night mangrove snapper trip, but you're only 15 to 25 miles from shore. No, excuse me. 15 to like 30 miles from shore, whereas the 39-hour trip, you're 70 to 100 miles from shore. So literally over 3 times further on our 39 and 44-hour trips. So comparing the 12-hour night mangrove snapper to a 39 or 44-hour trip is pretty difficult to say the least, Michael Murray. Crappy King 2400 said, why do you recommend a 6/0 or 9/0 for the gags and amberjack? Are there larger 2-speed reels like the Saltiga not enough to winch in those fish in low gear? What's the advantage of the larger pen reels? First of all, Crappy King 2400, the larger 2-speed reels are very expensive. So most people can't afford those larger 2-speed reels. The Pen 6/0 or the Pen 9/0 is very cheap. You can find some of those old school reels, like for example, the ones in our shop. We sell lightly used, refurbished Pen 6/0, 9/0 reels for $150 to $250. Whereas a 2-speed reel that's going to have the same power as a Pen Senator 9/0 is going to be like $400, $500, $600. So it's literally 1/3 the price. That's why we typically recommend them. But definitely a 2-speed reel with the same drag power as a Penn Senator 9/0 or a Daiwa 900H is definitely hands down going to be a lot better. So you're right, Crappy King 2400. A 2-speed reel with that same drag capacity is much better, but they're just so darn expensive. That's why we don't really recommend them a lot. Michael Murray said, with the boats in dry dock, what's the best amberjack options in September and October? There are only 2 trips in October. There's only 2 39-hour trips in October, but we also have a 44-hour trip. And then in November, we have 4 39-hour trips. So there's plenty of trip options for you, Michael. And then in dry dock, when the boat's out of service, we have the 12-hour Extreme, which takes up to 16 people out there on the Flying Hub 2. And then we also have private charter options on the Flying Hub 2 or Flying Hub 1. And then we also have plenty of options on the Hub as well for long-range private charters. So for amberjack, when the boat's in dry dock, you have the 12-hour Extreme or private charter options. Unfortunately, dry dock is a cost of doing business. It happens every year, and it really sucks to have to turn people away, but it's part of doing business. And I know, for example, the Double Eagle up in Clearwater, they have to do dry dock at the same time. So they're out of service at the same time as us. We all kind of coincide together because it's a slower time of year. On your 39-hour trips, can you keep the grunts and rock bass? Would love to catch a cooler full. Rock bass. I don't know what that is, Frederick Washington. I assume that's maybe a Pacific fish, a rock bass, but we don't typically catch what most people call grunts, what we call gray snapper or Key West grunts. We don't catch those on the 39-hour trip. Once you're past about 100 to 110 foot of water, you don't see those Key West grunts or gray snapper out there. You typically, instead of seeing those fish, you'd see the mangrove snapper, the vermilion snapper, the lane snapper, the yellowtail snapper. So that's all our questions on YouTube here. But let's see what we got on Facebook again. Monica said, how is Jeff? Is he coming back? Jeff is doing well. At the end of September, we should have some more news about Jeff Ballard. He's the man, the myth, the legend. We really miss him. He got hurt really badly last year at drydock, and he's been recovering since. And luckily, with a lot of prayer and a lot of physical therapy, he's getting a lot better. And we're hoping to have him back sometime before the end of the year, Monica. So thanks for asking about Mr. Ballard, Captain Jeff Ballard, and we look forward to having him back here soon. Jeffrey Adler said, when can we order the new custom rods? Well, Jerry Adler, asked about the new custom Bull Bay Hubbard's Marina rods. They should be coming in any day now. Once we get our first order, basically what I did was I ordered 2 of each of the 5 kinds we made. I'm going to bring them into the shop. I'm going to make sure I like them. I got a couple of each for myself. I'm going to fish with them, make sure they are working well and they're to our liking. And then once we dial them in, we're going to order a bunch of them. And then at that point, you're more than welcome to order your own from us or come buy some of the ones we have in the shop. The first round is kind of a prototype, so we only got 2 of each, and we'll see how they work. And I'm sure we're going to be in love, and I'm sure we won't have many changes to make, if any at all. And after that is when you'll be able to start buying your own. Let's see. Mark Gardner said, can you send me the links on those 2 sites that you had up in last week's Q&A? Mark, I assume you're talking about the form letter for Captains for Clean Water and the whitehouse.gov petition. Best place to find those, Mark, are right on the Hands Along the Water. So again, just go to facebook.com, Mark. Once you're at facebook.com, go search Hands Along the Water Johns Pass. And at the Hands Along the Water Johns Pass event, you can scroll down and see the discussion. And in the discussion is all the different comments and posts and threads, and down towards the beginning of the posts before everybody was posting videos from the event are all the different links and all that information that I was sharing last week in the Q&A is right there on the event for you, Mark Gardner. So let's see here what other questions we have. Looks like Lisa Siliberto said, how's the red tide affecting you guys? Again, no red tide in our area, no red tide affecting us. We have some red tide to our south, kind of affecting Egmont Key very minimally, but we have no red tide around Shell Key, Fort DeSoto, and we have no red tide even remotely in Johns Pass at all. So the red tide is not affecting us. We have beautiful clean waterways for now, and hopefully it'll stay that way. But unfortunately, it's right on our doorstep to our south, and we're really not looking forward to it creeping north very much. So hopefully it stays down there, but it is a huge problem down south, and we definitely got to work together to try to hopefully mitigate some of the causes that's going on down further south from us. But we talked a lot about that earlier, and I'm not going to beat that dead horse anymore. Robert Willis said, for grouper fishing, what size 2-speed reel do you recommend for trips on your boat? If you're using a Saltiga, what size do you recommend? The Daiwa Saltiga is my favorite reel, but right now they only make a LD 50, so the 50 is the largest size they have, and it's got 40 pounds of drag. That's a lot of drag, and that can handle most fish. But if I was going for a big grouper or a big amberjack, I personally still use a Penn Senator 6-aught or 9-aught or a Daiwa 900H because, again, I spent all my money on the 2-speed Daiwa Saltiga for snapper and most of the fish I catch. I don't have one of those huge accurate ATDs or a Vet Raptor or one of those big, huge 2-speeds. yet, but I'll get there eventually. So I would say, Robert, really the size of the two-speed reel doesn't matter, because every company has a different size. When it goes into those two-speed reels, like say Accurate or Yvette, all their sizes are really funky. Talica's like that. Shimano Talica is super funky. But a Talica 25, a Talica 50, those are huge reels that are going to be able to handle those fish. But then you look at like a Vet or Accurate, and like a 60 is a big, huge reel. So the sizes are all funky there, Robert. So really, you got to just look at drag capacity. Some of the bigger drags is what you want to look at. Definitely want to try to go for at least 50 to 60 pounds of drag when going after truly monster fish. Like, for example, the Accurate ATDs, they have one with 65 pounds of drag, and that's all you need, trust me, for a big grouper. So it just really depends on your drag capacity as far as those larger two-speed reels. Let's see here if we got any questions on the Captain Dylan Hubbard page. Looks like I've answered all the questions on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook page, and it looks like we've answered all the questions on Facebook. So it looks like, Frederick Washington said they call rock bass or sea bass rock bass. Again, Frederick Washington, out there on the 39-hour trip, we typically don't catch sea bass or gray snapper, also what we call the Key West grunts. So neither one of those species would be caught on a 39-hour trip. What you can do is you can go out on a 5-hour half day before your 39-hour trip and go catch some of those species and then bring them out. But the sea bass is illegal to use as bait, but you could use some of those white grunts as bait as long as you took them out of your bag limit for your 39-hour trip. Robert Eaton said, thank you, I'll be using my 6500 spinning reel. So you can use a 6500 spinning reel for some of the larger fish on our 10-hour trip. But still, I personally wouldn't recommend it, Robert. I personally prefer using conventional reels. And again, if you go to our YouTube page, you can look up the spinning reels versus conventional reels, or just Google spinning reels versus conventional reels, Hubbard's Marina. And I made a nice little YouTube video here where I kind of compare the conventional reel versus the spinning reel and talk about why I prefer one over the other. So a lot of good, helpful information there on our YouTube page and also on the Hubbard's Marina fishing tips page. So hopefully you get a chance to look through that. And again, I got a lot of changes coming to our website. Very excited for some of the changes to come from a marketing standpoint. We have a lot of cool things lined up for 2019. So stay tuned. Again, next week, so a week from today, August 19th, we will not have one of these live fishing shows, unfortunately, but we will have another one August 26th. And then don't forget, August 25th at 2 p.m. is our Bass Pro Shop seminar in Tampa. If you want a chance to win a 10-hour all day for 2 or a 5-hour half day for 2 people, come see us August 25th at Bass Pro Shops. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Remember to comment your questions. Make sure you tell me how I did. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this great video. If you enjoyed it, hopefully we'll see you at the next one, again, August 26th. And make sure you check out that event page for us and click going or interested in the live Q&A event to help me spread the word. And leave me a comment. Let me know how I did. So again, thanks for tuning in and spending your Sunday night with me. Remember, if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too busy. Thanks again, guys. I hope you have a wonderful night. And good night. Thanks for tuning in.